What's the first thing you think of when you see a beautiful brick home, a classic stucco finish, or a high-end thin stone veneer? You probably think of durability, a timeless aesthetic, and premium quality. But behind that beautiful exterior is a hidden technical challenge that most people overlook. These materials are what we call reservoir claddings. Failing to understand how these materials function can be absolutely detrimental to the long-term durability of a home and the health of its occupants. In this video, we're doing a deep dive into what reservoir claddings actually are, why they can cause catastrophic moisture failures, and the specific strategies you need to implement to ensure your building stands the test of time. Let's get into it. The biggest problem with materials like brick, traditional stucco, and thin stone veneers is that they're highly porous. Think of them like a giant sponge wrapped around your building. When it rains, these materials don't just shed water like vinyl or metal siding, they absorb and store it. The amount of moisture that these cladding materials can store is immense, hence why we refer to these materials as reservoir claddings. As the cladding becomes saturated during a rainstorm, water migrates through cracks, mortar joints, and wicks through the material itself. And if these reservoir claddings are installed directly against your building's primary water control layer, we can get the buildup of hydrostatic pressure, holding that water in tension against the waterproofing. Without a drainage gap, the water becomes trapped between the cladding and the WRB, forcing its way through tiny imperfections, fastener penetrations, or unsealed seams in the weather barrier, resulting in bulk water intrusion into the sheathing and wall cavity. And if that moisture can't dry out quickly, it becomes a recipe for disaster. And oftentimes, this moisture doesn't dry out because we highly insulate our stud cavities, which reduces the drying potential of the assembly due to the reduced heat flow. Compounding the danger of hydrostatic pressure is the capillary continuity of materials that are in direct contact with each other. Capillary action is the ability of a liquid to flow through the pores of materials both vertically and laterally, similar to how a paper towel can wick water. When a saturated reservoir cladding is in direct contact with the WRB or waterproofing and the underlying structural sheathing, it allows water to wick through this chain of porous materials. If there isn't a gap to break this physical connection, we get capillary continuity. Moisture from the soaked cladding is drawn directly across these layers without a capillary break, entirely bypassing the intended function of the water-resistive barrier. Together, hydrostatic pressure physically pushing water through the imperfections and capillary action pulling water through the materials themselves result in bulk water intrusion, which can lead to rot, mold growth, and the degradation of the structure. The second and perhaps more overlooked problem when it comes to reservoir claddings is inward vapor drive. Imagine you have a wet brick or stone veneer wall, and then the sun comes out. That solar energy hits the wet cladding and drives vapor inward toward the cooler, drier interior of the building. This can be especially problematic in buildings where gypsum sheathing like Den's glass is used. While gypsum is great for fire resistance, it's highly vapor permeable. This can either work in your favor or to the detriment of the building. Solar-driven vapor can quickly diffuse right through that sheathing and condense on the backside of your drywall or interior finishes. If you have air conditioning running, this can substantially increase the potential for condensation since you've artificially created a cold surface for that moisture to condense on, creating the ideal conditions for mold growth on the backside of those interior finishes. If you've got impermeable paints, polyethylene vapor barriers, or vinyl wallpaper, this only magnifies the problem since that moisture has no ability to dry out to the interior. So, in order to design a safe wall assembly with a reservoir cladding, we need to make sure that we have a drainage gap between the cladding and the waterproofing to prevent water from being held in tension. We probably want a little bit of ventilation between the cladding and the wall to promote ventilation drying. We need to make sure that this gap is providing the benefits of a capillary break and bond break to ensure that we don't have anything in direct contact with the water control layer to avoid capillary continuity, and we need to make sure that we are slowing inward vapor drive with a vapor retarder. Not necessarily a vapor barrier, but something that will allow us to provide controlled vapor movement through the wall to avoid challenging our walls while ensuring that we aren't compromising the integrity of the assembly. Let's talk about drainage. For thin stone, thin brick, and stucco applications, our preferred strategy involves the installation of a dimple mat with an integrated lath. This dimple mat provides a consistent air gap that serves as a physical capillary break and a bond break, preventing mortar from clogging the drainage space while allowing air to flow freely for convective drying of the sheathing. Another benefit to this strategy is that these products have an integrated fiberglass lath, eliminating the need to install an additional expanded metal lath and reducing any extra steps. Alternatively, entangled mesh mats made of plastic filaments can be used to achieve this drainage and uncoupling layer, provided they include a filter fabric facer to maintain an uninterrupted drainage and air gap behind the mortar, but you'll still need to install a metal lath over it. Now, just a quick note about these two products. The dimple mat provides the benefits of a vapor retarder. The entangled mesh mat does not. This means that if you use the entangled mesh product to get your drainage, you need to use something else to slow down inwardly driven vapor, whether that's a WRB that's around 10 perms, exterior rigid foam insulation, or a sheathing material like OSB. Traditional brick veneer assemblies that bear on a foundation ledge inherently require a gap between the weather-resistive barrier and the brick veneer. However, to maintain a functional drainage and ventilation gap, it's critical to provide regular ventilation weeps at both the bottom and the top of the wall to facilitate the stack effect for airflow and to facilitate drainage and ventilation drying. We also recommend a mortar catchment mesh to be installed at the base of the wall, which has a composition similar to a Brillo pad to suspend mortar droppings that inevitably fall behind the veneer during the installation of the masonry, preventing them from clogging the weep holes and ensuring that we maintain unrestricted drainage of bulk water out of the cavity. This prevents the buildup of hydrostatic pressure and the capillary transfer of moisture. Now, this might also sound obvious, but we do see it get missed surprisingly frequently. If you have a traditional brick veneer, you need to make sure that you have a through-wall flashing at the base of the wall that is integrated back to the wall's water control layer. We also want to make sure that it terminates above grade so that water that leaks behind the brick is actually discharged and not buried underground where it can get trapped in the wall. Now, to deal with inward vapor drive, we have the same options that we discussed earlier. We can either use a weather-resistive barrier with a lower perm rating at around 10 perms, we can use OSB as a vapor retarder, or we can use exterior rigid foam insulation to slow down that inwardly driven vapor. So, the takeaway is clear. Reservoir claddings can be a classic and durable choice for a home or building, but they demand a well-designed wall assembly behind them to manage the moisture loads, and it takes more effort and thought to make them work in framed wall assemblies. Understanding and implementing these specific strategies, from dimple mats to through-wall flashings to condensation control, is the only way to guarantee your building's long-term durability and the health of its occupants. Don't overlook the technical details behind the beautiful facade, build it right the first time, and it will stand the test of time. Guys, if you found this video helpful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more weekly building science videos, and head over to our website at asiri-designs.com where we have over 153 building science articles that cover a wide range of topics. Links will be in the description below. For now, good luck with your projects. Cheers.